Sarah, weather forecast today.
Today's forecast, a lot of sunshine, blue skies, marine clouds. Just the perfect day to go outside and relax. That's your forecast. We'll be right back.
Yeah, sunny days, sunny days, sunny days. No clouds in the sky, but again, away feels like it's been a freaking decade.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Social Beaches. We are the Coastal Estate Team. I am Carolyn Smith.
I'm Kelly Bowling.
We sell real estate along the Space Coast and into Indian River County. So from Mims to Vero Beach, Melbourne, Cocoa Beach, you name it, we sell it. So
Right?
I'm having fun today. I've had some coffee. We did a little coffee in our last episode.
Our last episode.
Yeah.
Make sure you watch that one.
If you have any questions on real estate or interested in buying or selling, please give us a call, 321-422-2160, or email us at hello@Coastal Estate Team. We are going to talk today about some of the things that are happening in the economy, and specifically, I think, with childcare, that really hit us because I think we hadn't heard of it. And we both have kids who are
Out of childcare.
Childcare. Kelly's still got some young kids, but they do after school.
Yeah, after care at the school.
Yeah.
Like one of them does. The other one's at middle school now. So I don't have a need for it anymore. But there was a time that I did have a need for it.
And I did too. And we didn't know. I mean, you hear about it a little bit, like how much is childcare costing, how unaffordable it is for so many people.
It was definitely unaffordable when I needed it for 3 children as a single parent. Like it was more money than any expense I had for any month, but I lived in a different state then, and they had like daycare vouchers, which I know that they also have here in Florida as well. Or if you're low income, you can get vouchers potentially.
Right. We have a lot of charts and graphs, but one of the things that was interesting to me when I was reading through it was they were showing how childcare matches rent or mortgage payment. Like it's almost the same.
Yeah.
So your cost of childcare is, and so how do people afford that? And is that only affordable if you're wealthy? And then somebody who's middle income, or low income, what
middle
do
class
they do?
used to be like you were comfortable. Yeah. But I feel like if you have, God forbid, you had multiple children, for some of these, they were equating childcare to be double the cost of in-state college tuition here in Florida. The average cost for one infant.
For one infant. So you could send your kid to college twice for the cost of
1 year of childcare.
1 year of childcare.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It is crazy, and it's unfortunate because for most people to make ends meet and just to have the basics and maybe a little bit extras,
you have to work.
Yeah, both people need to work. If you're a single parent, then
you definitely have to work. You
definitely have to work. And what are you doing if your income is sort of matching or taking such a large percentage of your for childcare, you're paying all that out. How do you do that?
Yeah.
How do people survive?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Barely is the word. I will tell you that these expenses for childcare have always been, I feel like, high. And I get the argument, too, that, well, don't you want the person who's watching your children to make a good income because you get what you pay for, kind of that idea. But it doesn't balance out to that because the average, like the median income for a childcare worker in Melbourne is under $35,000 a year.
Right. So how are they living?
That is not a living wage.
No.
It's not.
No. Not anymore.
For one person, how are you? I can tell you my daughter made more than that and lived in like a tiny little 600 square foot apartment. And I was having to help with her expenses. She paid her rent, but I had to buy her food, pay for her car, put gas in it, like all of these things. And she was working full time. So it's not a sustainable living wage. And if that person has a child, I'm sure they get a benefit of free childcare potentially, maybe.
Or reduced
cost.
But still, I mean.
Yeah,
I think this came up because I saw it on TikTok.
Yeah.
I saw it on TikTok.
Because the federal child care funding it ended on September 30th.
Yes.
And that was part of the American Rescue Act, some like COVID relief program that had been established. And it's not just affecting, parents who have their child in childcare, but these daycare center owners, they were getting government funding to, pay for this. So they're estimating that all of these childcare centers are now going to go under and close.
Or have to raise their rates in order to stay in business because the subsidy that they were receiving, it was a subsidy directly to the child care center to allow them to not charge more money.
Right. Because childcare costs have inflated more than the rate of inflation over the last, few years. And I think that that's going to put a lot of people at home. Yeah. They're going to have to quit their jobs. They're going to have to stay home and take care of their children. And there are a section of parents who are able to somehow work from home, and they also provide childcare to their children. You know, they have their kids there with them. I don't know how you can do it.
I don't know how you can do it.
I can't even get on the phone at home without one of my kids.
I have grown children, and I'm like, no, I've got to leave the room. I can't be watching them. They can't see me because they want to tell me that their chicken tenders weren't cooked all the way, or they didn't like the steak, or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard enough with, if you're working from home and you have a dog, they're barking every time you get on the phone. So I don't know how these parents are doing it. And kudos to you if that's your situation and you're able to somehow manage it.
Well, and I think, too, so many businesses now are like basically recalling workers to the office. So that work at home is not necessarily an option for a lot of people anymore.
It would be a great idea for employers to offer as a benefit in-house childcare. Bring your kid, drop them here at the center. And there are companies that do that.
There are companies, big companies do it. I think a lot of tech companies do it and things like that. It's smart. It's a huge benefit.
Health First has a childcare center. It's at they used to. I don't know if they still do, but the old gym that closed, it was on the side of that building. And I don't know what the details were surrounding that as far as like if it was just employees, children, or what. But what a smart idea, so that your employees can feel sound, that they have a safe place to bring their kids. Yeah. And low cost or maybe no cost, depending on what the situation is. But
right. I mean, even if you charge like a minimal amount and I don't know, there has to be a solution, because right now, and I was reading too in these articles, which was interesting to me, they were talking about, so let's say it could be a man, but generally it is the women, let's say, who end up staying home. Mm-hmm. But whoever makes the most money, that's who ends up staying at work, and then the other parent is staying home. So the parent who's staying home, they're not just exiting the workforce, right? So they're exiting their money, but they're also exiting. So let's say in 7 years, they can go back. They've lost their career trajectory, but they've also lost like accumulation of retirement benefits. Yes. So this is not just affecting them now or in the 7 years when they go back to work. It's affecting them when they're ready to retire, if anyone ever can retire anymore.
They've got less money coming into the home, which means they're spending less. So that's bad for our economy.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like all of these things are impacted, and I don't know. I feel very fortunate, honestly, that my kids are in college now. That I'm not worrying about. It is
cheaper to send them to college.
It's cheaper to send them to college. Although I will say the housing.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah. That's a whole nother problem we have, is like, how do people have affordable housing? Not just college, but like anybody. normal everyday, like you said, your daughter living in a 600 square foot apartment.
Shoebox. That was like $1,800 a month for a shoebox.
Crazy. And we're in Melbourne. I don't think we're in like a high cost area. Mm-mm. And I'll see people on like TikTok and Facebook and whatever, and they're spending $3,600 a month in like, what is it, New York City or Chicago or whatever for a one bedroom.
There's one girl on TikTok, and she's like, I guess their rent was $2,500 a month, and their landlord's raising their rent to $4,000 a month.
Oh my God.
So she started a series of, let me show you what a $4,000 apartment looks like in New York City. And, it's a flooded laundry room. It's, all these things that are wrong with the building. Yeah. And like, they want to raise the rent without fixing these things. So, that's
$4,000 a month is $48,000 a year. $48,000 a year, and it's to rent. You're not even purchasing.
That's
something.
Just for the roof over your head. That's not including anything else you need.
Right.
Food. Right. Lights.
Right.
Water.
Right.
All of those things.
And furniture and clothes and just
bare necessities.
Yeah, bare necessities. Yeah. It's really tough. Life is hard. I feel sorry for the young kids. I saw someone who said that their parents started investing for them when they were 6.
Wow.
Started putting money away for them.
That's nice.
And it's like, I didn't do that for my kids.
No,
but
me neither. We were just trying to survive.
We were trying to survive. We didn't realize, we should put away a little bit of money. But if you can, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah. And, this also brings into question what's going to happen with these kids who are starting to be, settled down and getting married or whatever. Mm-hmm. Are they going to make decisions to not have children? You think this is going to
Well, they are, because I know people who have adult children at least at this point, they're saying, the kids are saying, we're not having kids.
Yeah.
Like, for a lot of reasons,
it's
but one of
becoming
them is
much more
financially.
common. Yeah. You can barely take care of yourselves. I had a client that, said something to me about that, because I was like, hey, do you guys have kids? And he was like, are you kidding me? He's like, we can barely take care of ourselves. We don't even have a dog, he says,
right.
So I'm like, okay, noted. I get it,
If you want to think that you're going to retire one day, because I don't know that I'm ever going to be able to retire.
I'm not sure that I will either. I think that requires a retirement fund, of which I do not. I like to spend money, sadly. It's bad.
Don't look to us for financial advice. We're just going to tell you financial pitfalls.
We are not financial planners.
We are not.
But,
there's a reason we're not.
For sure. We have no good advice to give you.
Yes. For poor advice in financial planning, look to us.
Definitely. Oh yeah, this is the crazy graph here. This one showed, this is not even the current numbers. This is from still a couple years ago. So everything's continued to increase. Childcare annual for 2 children, an infant and a 4-year-old. Which is
this the one in Melbourne, in our area?
This is in Florida.
Okay, in Florida.
So the annual cost of that would be about $18,500 a year. So $18,681. Housing average annual cost is $18,468. College tuition, in-state public college, $6,366. So it's like 3 times the cost.
3 times the cost, and the same as your housing expense. I mean, it's nutty.
Yeah.
And I saw this on your thing, which a minimum wage worker in Florida would need to work full time for 27 weeks. 27 weeks, or from January to July, just to pay for childcare for 1 infant.
Mm-hmm.
That's a minimum wage worker.
More than half the year.
Yes. Yeah. So, and nationally, childcare workers' families are more than twice as likely to live in poverty as other workers' families. 11.8% are in poverty. That's the childcare workers. Yeah. So it's not like they're getting rich taking care of our kids.
One of my best friends, and that's how I met her, she took care of my kids in a home daycare situation in Maryland. And, she had, I think she was maxed out always at capacity of what she was allowed to have, because you're licensed by the state, fire marshal comes in. It's like a whole thing. Social services is involved, like everybody's involved. And, they were not wealthy by any means. Now, are there people that can make a great living doing childcare? Yes. My ex-mother-in-law is one of them. She has like 3 childcare centers. She's been the sole breadwinner for her family for many, many years. They have set up with a great retirement plan because she's been very business savvy. Yeah. And she, has big centers where they're not in her home, but she's also done home daycare before. But now she has like a bunch of employees and directors that run everything for her. But she's a workaholic, She's about to be 70 years old, or I think maybe she turned 70 this year. Yeah. I think next year. So she'll be 70 next year. And this woman still works from like 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. every day.
Yeah. And what do you do? I mean, if you own a childcare center, you have to meet certain standards, right? You're licensed by the state. You have to meet certain standards. Let's say your workers quit, call in sick, whatever, and you have these kids coming. Like, what do you do?
How do you meet the backup? You gotta, everybody has to pitch in and help, because she's been through the whole gamut of it. Parents not paying and having to go after them for payment. Employees not showing up, employees stealing money. Like all these different things when you run a business. No different than I guess any other kind of business, but
except that you're dealing with children
you have to have a real love for children to do that, for sure. I'm never
not the career for Carolyn.
That's why you sell real estate.
Yes.
You have a different kind of charge,
I have a different kind of patience.
Yes.
It's not that patience. Sure. I was patient with my own kids, but
that's different. Yeah. Dealing with your own kids is very different than other people's kids. I say that all the time. Like, I can definitely admit that I love all of my children.
Yes.
There are very few other people's children that I can tolerate.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. I mean, I should not be in the childcare field. No.
Me either.
Mm-mm. Okay, so do we have anything else?
I think that's it for today.
Okay. Yeah. And we're going to start, we didn't do it this time, but we are going to start doing first of all, 2 things. We're going to start talking a little bit about what we've been up to. Yeah. Not today, but next time. Mm-hmm. And we're also going to start doing some, social beaches, get out and about. Yeah. And a little out and about on the town and showcase.
We just always forget to talk about when we're out and about.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to do that. But we want to start showcasing some things in the area, businesses, restaurants, things like that. If you have anywhere you want us to go check out.
Yeah.
If you send us to the zoo, then Jen is coming because she loves
That's
the
her
zoo.
favorite place.
It is her
I
favorite
think she
place.
still has passes there, doesn't she?
She does. We have a really, really good zoo. If you haven't been to the Brevard Zoo.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
I love it.
And if you want to go like zip line and do all that stuff, you can do that there too.
That's true.
I'm not into zip lining, but for y'all that are, go right ahead. So anyway, we will see you next time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's it. Cheers.
Sunny days,